Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for as little as $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In the previous video we looked at MMTLP with a particular focus on synthetic shares, so please refer back to that previous video for those updates. In today's video we're also going to be looking at MMTLP and also MMAT, and also a quick update on Mullen Automotive shortly, and the focus of today's video is going to be looking at S1A4 and the prognosis for the future. Also we're going to be having a quick look at earnings for MMAT. So before we do that, let's have a quick look at what's happening in the market. So there is some very positive news today, and that was with regard to the inflation figures. So we can see here US inflation is down 7.7% in October. So the response from the market has been excellent. We've had one of the best days in terms of recovery from obviously the significant amount of red days so far. So we can also see earlier on the Dow Jones was up by approximately 1,000 points. So good news there for the market. In terms of quick update with regard to Mullen Automotive, so there is some also positive news here. We can see a headline here, 9th of October 2022, Mullen enters into agreement with Newgate Motor Company to distribute Mullen Igo in Ireland and United Kingdom. So not even NEO has been able to get into the United Kingdom and Ireland, and the penny stock Mullen has done that. So great news and a great future for Mullen Automotive there. However, finally, just having a quick look at a tweet from Will Mead here, we can also see here Mullen is the fourth most shorted stock under $1. So certainly somebody who does not want this to reflect its true value. So let's start by having a look at the chart for MMTLP. We can see here UK time around about 1600 hours. It did take a battering, and at one point it was at risk of going close to $6, and it went as low as $6.10. So I think many people were probably waiting for it to get close to $6 to buy in, but we can see significant volume there and a nice bounce back up. And right now at time of editing it's just touched $7, so they are trying their best to push this down towards the $6 mark. They've not been successful, so great news here in terms of the chart, and this is in response to the news that we're going to be looking at shortly as well with regard to the S1A4. But before we do that, let's now have a look at the latest borrow data. We can see here the shorts did return some shares, so previously only 500 available, now then 7,000 returned some, and now 3,000 available. The cost to borrow is going up gradually. Now we're looking at increase from 32.1%, then to 33.8%, and now 37.6%. So we are getting closer and closer. And finally, let's have a look at the volume in terms of buy and sells going on. So in terms of the attacks, what we can see here, significant investor here has just bought in at $6.75. 28,460 shares. So the shorts really do have a battle up on their hands right now. Let's start by having a look at MMTLP. So I'm sure you're now aware that yesterday we had the S1 with regard to amendment number 4. So most people were expecting approval, but that didn't happen. So shout out here to Tony, and what he stated here is S1 amendment number 4 is filed with the SEC, but there is not really much to show here. All the changes have been added. So the only thing now we can say that is noteworthy in terms of the change is 9 months of financial data versus the previous 6 months in amended version 3. So basically that's it. So what I'd now like to do is share with you a post that I tweeted earlier, and that was tagging in John Brda. So there was a response. So let's have a look at the post. And that was the post was here. The reason for this post was to find out what's going on in terms of is there going to be a continuous toing and froing from the SEC with regard to amendments, or are we at the end game? So that was the purpose of the tweet. So let's have a look at the conclusion from the reply. So the tweet was, the SEC could have actually asked for financials to be current in the third amendment. Why wait to say this with an amendment number 4? So John Brda has kindly responded to this, and he stated that unfortunately the financials are controlled by the calendar and MMAT filings. Yes, the team expected this and they were prepared to turn it around immediately. No way to update the financials ahead of time, as it is a wholly owned sub of MMAT for now. So obviously once it goes private into NextBridge, that will no longer be the case. So again, I'd like to give special thanks to John Brda for this update, and what we can basically interpret from this update is we are now at the end game. So that's the good news that we can infer from this response. Basically the SEC were wanting the financials up to date. They have not asked for anything else, so it now looks like we are getting very, very close. So on a similar theme, George Palikaras was also asked a similar question, but from a different angle. So this is a shout out here to Hollywood Henry, and what he stated here is with regard to who is responsible, MMTLP S1 delay, who has the responsibility? Is it the company or is it the SEC? So a lot of people have been asking me the same question. Is it Metamaterials who are not actually doing their job and not providing the details? So George has now responded to this, and what you can say is what I can now say right now. The two examples, the example provided by Hollywood Henry there is TRXA, which was approved very, very quickly in comparison to MMAT. So what George has said here is two examples below are not comparable. Beyond our own advisors in the SEC, there are other parties involved. I'm very confident we will complete all the necessary steps successfully. 100% MMAT is not delaying any of the process, so nobody should be really accusing Metamaterials of this delay. I think the delay is due to the complications. It's due to this being a unique situation going into a private company from obviously assets currently held by Metamaterials. So obviously hashtag strategic patience. But the good news here is I think we are now at the final amendment. And the next shout out here is to the Bird Lady, and this is in response to what was stated earlier by Ken Rice. So reinforcing what I've just stated earlier, and what she said here is, I'm very bullish after what Ken Rice said on earnings in call with regard to MMTLP. They are going to work with FINRA to ensure MMTLP stops trading on the record date and close their positions. So we certainly are getting closer to the end game. So before we look at Metamaterials earnings, shout out here to Frankie Smiles, and this is with regard to the other good news for Metamaterials, and the tweet here is Metamaterials has now got a letter from NASDAQ that is now in full compliance with the bid price rule. So it was trading continuously over $1 for the required number of days. So great news there. So let's now move on to earnings. So earnings was released yesterday. So we have here the Form 10Q. So shout out now to Metamaterial News who have kindly summarized some of the key headlines from the earnings, which I'm just going to dig in further shortly. But the key headlines they've stated here in terms of catalysts and partnerships, we're looking at the company have received $4.3 million in purchase orders for its nano-optic security business, acquiring assets of IP and also from IP of Optodot. Partnerships with DuPont, Mitsubishi for battery safety. I think that's going to be tremendous for the long term. CEO also stated there was a partnership with LG Solutions. So we're talking about George Palikaras stating that earlier in an interview. So again, very bullish there. And very soon we're going to have the grand opening of the 68,000 square foot production facility and headquarters, November the 17th. So not too far away. And also we're expecting approval of MMTLP, which we just looked at. And finally, good news with regard to GlucoWise, currently under human clinical trials, which will be completed 2023. What I'd now like to do is have a quick look at the balance sheet for Metamaterials that was just released yesterday. So this, just to be aware of, our unaudited account. What I'd now like to do is have a quick look at the balance sheet for Metamaterials. So we're going to compare the period ending December the 31st, 2021 with September the 30th, 2022. So the key headlines here that we can see in terms of cash, the company have got, in terms of the available cash, has gone down. So previously they had just in excess of $46 million in cash, and now they have just in excess of $30 million in cash. The other highlighted information in terms of intangible assets. So although cash has gone down, intangible assets have gone up quite significantly. So from just in excess of $28 million to now in excess of $51 million. And we know that is one of the reasons for that is because of the acquisitions and Optodot as well. So goodwill is also a significant increase, going up from 240 million to 279 million, just in excess. But overall, in terms of total assets, the company has increased total assets. So the company certainly is worth more. Previously, it had just in excess of $434 million worth of assets. Now, current assets, now we're looking at in excess of $483 million in terms of current assets. Let's now have a look at the liabilities. So these represents the bills or the short-term debt that the company has to pay. So not much change here. So previously current so trade and other payables was approximately $13.3 million, and now it's gone down a little bit, just in excess of $12.8 million. So overall debt has gone down for the current liabilities from 91 million down to 87 million. But overall total liabilities previously 99 million and now approximately 93 million. But the other figure I'd like to draw your attention to is one highlighted in red, and that represents the assets held for sale. So these are recorded twice. One of the reasons why they're recorded twice is because these are going to be removed from the company, so they're recorded as assets. So assets obviously represent that they are valuable, and also recorded as liabilities because they don't belong to the company, they will belong to NextBridge. So it's kind of a figure that balances itself out, but it must be recorded. So that figure there is not a figure I'm going to look at, 71.7 million. That is no way a true reflection of what the assets are worth, just a nominal figure. Let's now have a quick look at the statement of operations and comprehensive loss, also known as profit and loss account. So I'm going to focus on the 9-month period on the right hand side. So this is comparing to September the 30th, 2021. So now I'd like to finish off by having a look at the statement of operations and comprehensive loss, also known as profit and loss account. I'm going to focus on the 9-month period ending September the 30th, 2022. So comparing that with the 2021 figure. So the notable figures here with regard to total revenue, that has gone up quite significantly. So just in excess of 1.7 million. 2021 to right now, the latest figure just in excess of 8.7 million. So a very, very positive and a significant increase in revenue there. However, from a negative point of view, the costs have increased quite significantly. So general administrative expenses have gone up from just in excess of 16 million to now 45 million. So quite a significant cash burn there. We can also see here that R&D spending has gone up significantly as well, from 5 million to just in excess of 16.6 million, giving an overall increase in expenses from 22 million to 65 million. So company is in requirement of significant cash, but so far what we've seen in terms of assets and what the company have also indicated that they have got enough cash certainly for the next 12 months. But we also expect contracts to obviously be delivered and revenue to continuously increase, which should be able to be positive for the company. And in terms of the other figure I want to focus on is the loss. Previously, not much change here. So previously the loss was just in excess of 61 million. Now it's 63 million. But the good news is the revenue is moving in the right direction. What the company now needs is more contracts and obviously more cash eventually. And finally, I'd like to finish off by giving a shout out to our weekly watch list. This is shared exclusively with the Discord members prior to trading on the Monday. So some of the stocks there, amongst others that we called out this week, were MTDR, and we can see that was up close to 3% today. We called out UNCY, and I think that was up close to 12% today. MMTLP, which is one obviously we are looking at on a daily basis. We also looked at MMAT, so that has gone down today, obviously in terms of a sell-off, but prior to today it has had a tremendous run. We also called out TMDX, and that was up close to 8% today, and also we called out JUPW, which is up in excess of 8%. Not all calls are successful, but these are some of the positive ones. So in order to receive the next weekly watch list as well as our daily stock alerts, you can certainly consider joining us in the Discord for little as $9 a month. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.